It seems everybody wants to take life to the max. Hi everybody, I'm Uncle Max, and welcome to the Life to the Max show.
Hi everybody, my name is Max. My friends call me Uncle Max, and I consider you my friends. Let's just say you're a brother from another mother or a sister from another mister. And I have been wanting to put a show together for a long time, maybe a decade, teach seminars. But it was 2 years ago, my sister Mindy, who's holding the camera, say hello everybody.
Hello.
She says, why don't you do a show on YouTube? It doesn't have to be a big fancy produced show. So I'm going to do a show and I'm going to launch it right away. It's called Life to the Max. It'll be Life to the Max show. But what is it about and why should you listen to me? Just a little of my background. It's going to be all about self-reliance, provident living, law of attraction, abundance. Think of, it's preparedness with a real positive spin. So think of it as like, you have to have a balance of both yin and yang. You have to be able to be able to hug a tree and use herbs, meditate, but you still need to know what caliber to shoot through the tree to kill the bad guy that's trying to gang rape your wife and daughter. Okay, so we're going to be talking a little bit about everything, the yin and yang. Yin and yang, it's yin and yang of life. We're going to be talking about medical and as an EMT, a combat lifesaver, we're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about a lot of natural healing health modalities. Mindy, who's holding the camera, she's going to be a recurring guest. We're going to have a Mindy moment, and she's going to be teaching us a new herb each week. It's fantastic. Why new herbs or white herbs? What happens when the medical system goes down? Let's say we're in a worldwide challenge right now, and all this. But what if it was worse? So we want to be ready in case it was worse, and we want to be ready for that. Why listen to me? Well, I have 26 years in the military, both enlisted, NCO, and as an officer. I was a combat arms officer, and I was a chemical officer, and that's the nuclear and biological and chemical branch. And that's the one that deals with the really scary stuff. It's the least picked branch in the military because it's even scary for all the big tough macho guys. And so, but I love it, and it's a passion for me. How do you prepare for the really big stuff? And nuclear, like what happened in Hawaii, we want to teach people how not to run around with your head chopped off. We need to teach people what to do if it was much bigger, right? This little thing that's going on right now, not a problem. We still got the power, the water, the internet, the phone, the cars, the stores. We have most things, What if all that went off in a split second? And we're going to teach you all about how to deal with that. I was a HAZMAT technician with the military. I worked alongside the Weapons and Mass Destruction Civil Support Team in the Intermountain West, and I actually helped out at the 2002 Olympics as a HAZMAT technician in that system. I was a safety officer. I was a member of this Chemical Stockpile Emergency Preparedness Program. I was a team member for that, and that's the team that helps to protect and clean up, decontaminate people if there was a massive chemical exposure from chemical emissions. I worked and I spent a year mobilized after 9/11 at the nation's largest chemical weapons stockpile and learned how to deal with those kinds of things. So we're going to be teaching you all about that, how to decontaminate those kinds of things you can do on your own, even if there is a major disaster and all the first responders are overwhelmed. Then you will know how you and your neighborhood can help those people. Civil defense volunteer with TACDA, the American Civil Defense Association. That's been a phenomenal organization. They have taught me more than all other organizations combined, including the military, on how to be better prepared for emergencies and disasters. And I can promise you, the government said, in fact, it was 2 years ago that Netflix did a documentary. Did I tell you about this?
I think so.
It was a documentary on pandemic, how to stop the, whatever. And they were saying it's not a matter of when, it's not a matter of if, it's when.
Yeah.
And then, boom, here we are. And the government has said, in nuclear, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. There's a number of countries that have nuclear programs, more and more. There's a lot of terrorist type people would love to just get a couple. So we're going to teach you how to deal with that. And even if it isn't a nuclear for radiation or a dirty bomb, it could be nuclear enough to just create an EMP where they could detonate it high over the atmosphere. Maybe one from the West Coast, one from the East Coast, one from the Gulf Coast, and it would completely fry our grid. and we'd be down. Government, the Congress is just starting to allocate a little bit of money to be prepared for doing research on what effects an EMP would have. And hopefully they had a really big wake-up call and we can start building our infrastructure to be EMP-proof. That would be helpful. CERT, I was a CERT team leader. What is CERT? Community Emergency Response Team. I like to call it Citizens Emergency Response Training. I mean, you remember my old neighbor and how grumpy he was.
Yep.
And I need to learn to love him and forgive him, but I kind of loathed him. He was such a grumpy old man.
Avoided him.
But I would be the first to jump the fence and get over and help him if there was an earthquake or a disaster or whatever. And so if we're going to do that, even for the people that we loathe, that we have a really hard time with, then we really need to learn how to do it. And CERT does that for you. I will even share with you a number of different CERT classes that are available, including an online one. We'll put a link to that so you can learn how to get this training and how to safely help a person and neighbors. And so it'll be a fantastic thing. I was a security officer, so we're going to talk about how do you secure your home and make it a lot safer, how to think more, what we call people that don't think about that, we call them grass eaters because their head's down the grass and the predators will take it. They're easy targets. We want to make you a hard target for anyone messing with you. I was an emergency ham radio communicator. We're going to have a whole segment on communications and all the different backups that you can have. And most people, I'm recording this on my little Samsung Note 9. Did you know that most Samsung phones have a built-in FM radio built into it? So even if the cell towers went down and you're not getting data or anything, no calls going through, you can still turn on an FM radio that's built into your phone as long as you have a wired earbud.
Okay, get that one done soon. I want to watch that.
Yeah, just get a wired earbud.
Okay.
Because that acts as the antenna.
Okay.
Plus you're able to listen to it, or you can split the ears and two people can get the information.
Hey, that'll be fun.
But all kinds of really things. I'll tell you about this section that's going to be on there. I was a master gardener. I took the master gardener course, and I also took the home food production course. We're going to talk about canning and dehydrating. There's even a home freeze dryer out there, so you can freeze dry. Freeze drying and canning are the two best ways to store nutrients. But you can also pressure can, and you can do that with all your meats and vegetables. And there's other options for like fermenting and dehydration. There's some wonderful options. We're going to show all those and explore so that you can learn how to do that. As a master gardener, we're going to teach you the best survival garden out there that you can grow now. Takes 80% less water, less space, less time. So you could actually do this in an apartment on a balcony or out of a southern window of your house. There's some wonderful things we're going to teach you, and you'll be able to keep this garden alive after all the water stops flowing or the pumps stop pumping, because you train the roots to go better. Stay tuned. It's going to be great. I've been a lifelong scout. I've been involved with scouting forever, and we're going to teach you all the fun things. One thing our brother Mark taught is that when it's time to go camping, you don't cancel camp for any reason. Because if you do, then you're telling the kids, if it's bad weather, I shouldn't go. And if all of a sudden they're caught in bad weather, they think, it's dangerous, I'm not going to make it. Instead of, and he would teach them, no, you go, you camp, no matter what, you learn how to deal with it. And now all those kids know how to deal, even if there's a crazy winter storm, and they know exactly what to do, and they still had a blast, and they have some fun stories. We're going to try to share a lot of fun things about the scouting program and how it's helped the kids. I've been a hunter and I'm expert on the military and firearms. I believe very much that it is something that people will need to learn how to use. It's no more an evil thing than a bat or a club or fists or hands, which all kill more people. There's a t-shirt that says, here's an AR-15 and here's a hammer. One of these killed 300 people last year and the other's a firearm. So we're going to give you the actual facts and not all the stuff that they tell you about. We're going to teach you about firearm safety, so if your kids do see one, that they know about firearm safety and how not to mess with it, or if it's going to have a whole bunch of things on safe firearms and the fun sport and the wonderful thing it is for hunting. So we're going to share a lot of those things about that. What else? I'm an avid four-wheel off-roader, and I love overland camping. Overlanding or expedition camping is really huge these days. We've been doing it all our lives. It's like, okay, they're calling it something different, but we've been doing that and we know how to do it. So we're going to share with you a whole bunch of really cool ways how to set up your four-wheel drive vehicle, teach you how to drive off-road. We're going to have some wonderful driving segments on how do you pick a line and how do you bump up this obstacle and how do you get your approach angle, your departure angle, your crossover angle, and how you set up your rig so that it's really a really capable rig. And that way you have a vehicle that I call my hunting, scouting, camping / bug out vehicle. So if you have to evacuate, you'll be able to do it. In fact, we're going to have a wonderful class on how to evacuate, like those people over in California that their whole city burned up and they just literally got out because they didn't know what to take and they panicked. We're going to teach you exactly how to do that. I taught my first class when I was 11. It was a little booth at a fair, and it was survival. So I'm going to teach you some wilderness survival techniques and some other provident living and self-reliant skills. We're going to be looking into bushcrafting and homesteading. We're going to introduce you to all those kinds of things. There's some really great things there. I've been an emergency preparedness consultant for a long time, and I love to share the things that I've learned because I've learned over 45 years of doing this. There's lots of mistakes and we learn a lot of things, and I want to take you from here to here instead you starting here and making all those mistakes and then finally getting around here. I want to help you avoid a lifetime of mistakes or bad intel or ideas that we thought were good at the time but proved to not be good. We want to get you the latest and the greatest, and there's some really cool new technologies out there that are really helpful, and we're going to share those with you. I was a professional driver. I probably got, I don't know, a million something miles on me. I used to drive 630 miles every night. And I learned how to make that trip the shortest possible. So I want to teach you, we're going to have a segment called the Kurdish Driver. And we want to teach people how to get from point A to point B, kind of like the parkour of driving. How do you get from point A to point B in the quickest manner in an emergency or in a disaster or an evacuation? We're going to teach you how to avoid all the mistakes which you end up in. Our cousin Janet showed me a picture of people evacuating both sides of a freeway were in the same direction, and I counted 14 lanes and it was a parking lot. Because everyone does not know how to plan, how to get out. We're going to teach you how to plan out a route ahead of time on quiet roads that nobody uses, and when all they're thinking is, I got to get to the interstate and get out, and then they're trapped. So we want to avoid that, but I want to teach you all kinds of great tips and tricks on how to do it assertively. I don't want you to be an aggressive driver, I want you to be an assertive driver. Assertive is standing up for your own rights and doing what you need to do without stepping on anyone else's. So the last thing is I was a mechanic in the military. I'm going to teach you lots of quick tips on how do you keep your vehicle running, how do you outfit it, how do you have the right stuff in the vehicle so that if you are in an accident, like a friend of mine in a choir that I sing in, she hit a commercial, what am I saying, a commercial? She hit an intersection. She didn't even have a coat and it was snowing. And so I'm going to talk to her. We're going to start from the very beginning. You have a new car to you. How do you set it up? How do you do it? How do you maintain it? How do you have the proper gear in here for emergencies and or supplies to keep you alive? Here's a couple of the fun show segments we're going to have. We're going to have a thing called the Naughty Corner. We're going to teach you, you're going to say, do you know how to tie the Alpine butterfly knot? Go to the Naughty Corner. And we'll teach you all kinds of knots. We're going to start at the most basic knots, and we're going to build up. And we're going to show you that you think, oh, I don't know how to knots. And I'm going to go through a bunch of knots. You're going to think, oh, yeah, I do know that one. I do know that one. We're going to change your paradigm about knots, and you're going to be a knot guru. Another one's going to maybe a Fired Up Friday. Maybe we'll change the name, but I have a retired Green Beret, Sergeant Major, Special Forces Sergeant Major. That's as high as you can get in enlisted. And he's going to teach us 76 ways to start a fire without a match. So it's going to be a blast. You're going to have an arsenal of tools that will help you to be able to start a fire in a pinch, no matter where you are. If you'll find some way of being able to do it so you can have it for signaling, for staying warm, for whatever, cooking. Mindy, holding the camera.
Hello.
We're gonna have a Mindy moment, and she's gonna be wonderful. She's taught me so much, and she's a wonderful resource, and we're gonna have a blast. I'm gonna teach you all about herbs and other things. What do you do when the medical system goes down? And if you don't think it can go down, my brother and sister-in-law were in Puerto Rico after 2 hurricanes slammed them. Medical thing went down, and she was able to, or our cousin who was a critical care RN was on a FEMA team, and they went over there to try to pick up the pieces, and there's so much corruption, everything. What do you do when there's no medical? You need to know that. So we'll have a whole bunch of cool health modalities for that. We're going to have a pet corner. We're going to talk about how do you get pet prepared. I literally just got back from the vet, and I realized, okay, we need to talk about that, and I need to show how to do it by getting myself prepared, because if you have to evacuate, you have to have a carrier and then stuff for your cat. You have to have an emergency little backpack for your dog and all their stuff ready to go so you can, boom, go. And we're going to teach you how to do that. We're going to have a happy camper segment. I have some of the best camping moments, not just from our family, but I've been to some camps with some good Christian folks that believe that, you know what, we might need to be prepared and might need to back up each other, because if things get crazy, we might need to move. A lot of angry people out there trying to hurt us will be able to get to a camp, and so they have these phenomenal camps. And they show how they set up. The best glamping you've ever imagined is going to be fantastic. So we're going to show you some really cool setups, and you're going to learn something from every single one of them. There's some great tips out there. I dig it. I'm going to teach you some of those gardening tips and tricks. And Mindy just showed us a couple just right here recently. So we're going to teach you about a number of really cool gardening techniques, including that really good garden that's great in a disaster. Kurdish Driver segment, we talk about it. My son is a big tech guy. We're going to have like a Tech Tip Tuesday, and we're going to teach about all kinds of tech tips, including the right stuff to have on your phone. Not Candy Crush, not Angry Birds, not a lot of this social media stuff and entertainment. No, you have the right apps on your phone so that you have this wonderful tool and resource while it's still up and running. And even when it goes down, we're going to teach you how to do it. We're going to teach you about the phone case that will actually protect your phone and allow you to charge it up twice. So it'll be a fun thing. So anyhow, stay tuned for those wonderful tech tips. Comms. Comms is this thing we call in the Army. It's being able to communicate. And we're going to teach you all kinds of backups. Comms is king, we call it in the military. You've got to have comms. And if everything went down and we weren't able to call or FaceTime with people, you'd still have some backups. We're going to teach you how to do that so you're not stressed and worried about family and friends. Hip to be square. Huey is in the news. 4 aspects of this: mental, physical, spiritual, and social. And we have to work on all those, and we have to work on them evenly so that we're not all a distorted geometric shape, you know. And we're going to be talking about the mental things that you can do to be more positive, resiliency skills. I want to eradicate, if I can, suicide. I hate to hear that 22 of my fellow veterans are dying every year or every day from suicide. We've got to end that. I'm even wearing a suicide awareness band, and we're going to talk a lot about resiliency skills so we can be more pumped up and positive. So stay tuned for that. All kinds of positive things. Like I said, we'll even have a little spiritual moment. We'll have different pastors from different groups come in and give some really great tips to think for spiritual preparedness and learning to access your higher power or nature or meditate. There's just going to be some good things in there. Good eats. We're going to have healthy recipes. They're going to be healthy. They're going to be delicious, but they have to be healthy first. There's millions of delicious that aren't healthy. But we're going to stick with the healthy, and then if they're delicious, that's good. Things that can be cooked in short order with very limited supplies, so you don't have to simmer it for 2 hours, reduce the reduction. You know, we don't have to do that. We're going to find the recipes that work, that have very little water to use or to clean up, because you don't have water when the water in the faucet doesn't work. You need to be able to do this quick. And so we're going to teach you some of the wonderful things. Spices, how important those are. Where to get foods. We're going to teach you about 4 or 5 different food storage approaches so that you can, one of them is going to resonate with everybody. Whether it's couponing or this or that, or buying a kit and dehydrated or growing, grains, bulk. We're going to teach you all kinds of wonderful tips. And one of those is going to resonate with everyone, so you can start learning how to build up and have a year supply and as a buffer. So when the power goes out, you'll be in a position to help you and your family and perhaps some safe neighbors. And we're also going to talk about how do you get your neighborhood organized in little blocks of maybe 8 to 12 houses and how you can work together. and work together to protect yourself, work together to get prepared together, get group deals, get quantities down. So it's going to be great. We're even going to have a movie night. We're going to talk about all the wonderful movies that are really positive. So you can start maybe getting copies of these positive movies that have really good inspirational things or that teach really good principles. And we're going to have lessons learned from this movie or lessons learned from that movie, because there's a lot of these things are just written by writers that just wrote it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's accurate or not. But we're going to show you some things that are accurate, or a really good demonstration of this, or that's a bad example. Don't follow that because they didn't think about this and this, and we'll explain that. It's going to be it's just going to be so much fun. So stay tuned. Life to the Max Show on YouTube, lifetothemaxshow.com. And if you need to get a hold of me, we'll have an email there. And if you have any questions or want us to cover a particular subject, you can contact me at unclemax@lifetothemaxshow.com, and we'll start doing that. We're going to bring in experts in the areas that I struggle, like with organization. I have ADD. It's easy to get distracted and off target. We're going to bring in experts that will help me in all the areas where I need help, and I know I'm not the only one. So bring it along. And I didn't even put that on there. We're going to have a Wednesday Cleanse Day, and we're going to actually show you a lot of cleaning tips, especially in this day and age where everyone's really paranoid about pathogens and stuff like that. We're going to show you some great products that are not harsh chemicals, which have actually shown to have a lot of health problems. And we're going to show you the right cloths and everything to use to help keep things clean and sanitary and over a long period of time. Just stay tuned. It's going to be an absolute blast. Anyhow, hope you hang with us. Just realize that it's quick and dirty. I'm real with ADD is one of my challenges, and it's just going to be quick and dirty. I pull out my phone, do a quick segment. Overlook that. I dare you not to learn something. And if you think you're a great prepper, then compare notes with me. See how much you know, see where I'm wrong, and you let me know where I'm wrong, and we can make it better. We're all smarter than we are individually. So stay tuned. As I say when I sign off my segments, till later.